Good afternoon. Patrick Henry once said, "Give me liberty or give me death." The difference between life with freedom and life in captivity is night and day. Life in captivity is barely life at all. Imagine being stripped from your family, your home, and your way of life simply because of what you believe and the fact that you're different. The Chinese government has been accused, and there's evidence of concentration camps, detention centers, human rights violations, and other assimilation treatments in regards to the Uyghur Muslims living in the Xinjiang province of China. The United Nations needs to act to stop the Chinese government through investigation, sanctions, and spreading the word. The UN and the major countries in the United Nations needs to act to stop the Chinese government and stop the camps happening in the Xinjiang province. Even though the Chinese government has interest in the Xinjiang province, they are violating human rights there. The UN needs to act to stop the Chinese government through investigation and sanctions. There are a lot of stories flying around in the media on what is happening in China, where it is happening in China, and what exactly the Chinese government's interest in the Xinjiang province is. It's happening in the Xinjiang province, and the Chinese government's interest comes from, to quote Zanib Raza in his 2019 article, China's political re-education camps of Xinjiang's Uyghur Muslims. 1/3 of China's oil and uranium reserves are in the Xinjiang province. So this explains a lot of why the Chinese government is interested in the Xinjiang province. Because one, it is lucrative, and it is also valuable to trade with surrounding countries, and also just valuable to make the Chinese government money. And the Chinese government is trying to secure the region. But Raza also states that 10 million Uyghur Muslims live there. The Uyghur Muslims are an ethnic and religious minority in China, as they are, one, not Han Chinese, and two, they are also Muslims. Raza states the Chinese government tries to portray the Uyghurs as illiterate and prone to poverty. Raza adds to this that the Chinese government claims that the Uyghurs are a terrorist threat and potential radicals, and that these camps assimilate them into good Chinese workers. However, quotes from survivors of the camps do not match what the Chinese government is saying. Mihigro Tursun, a survivor of a camp, is quoted in Anashe Chaudhry's 2020 article, "They Kill Us Here." Survivor of Uyghur concentration camps recounts tortures. Mihigro is quoted as saying that she was forced to sleep in a room with 68 other women while she was handcuffed and her feet were tied. Additionally, Tursun said that while being tortured, she accidentally said, "Oh Allah," which roughly translates to "Help me God." And she said that one of the prison guards there told her that the Chinese Communist Party was more powerful than Allah, and Allah cannot save her now. The Chinese government tries to defend what they're doing by portraying as helping a poor ethnic minority, and that it is not wrongful. They're simply there to help and assimilate a different minority into the good Chinese society. But eyewitness accounts of what is happening do not match what the Chinese government is saying. And almost always in the history books, governments who round up and lock up religious and ethnic minorities are not looked fondly upon in the history books. There's evidence of human rights violations found by the media, but there needs to be more evidence and more spreading of the word and circulating of the news to convince the world to act. A UN investigation would be a great tool to do this. It would also help spread the word, and it would help get the truth of what is happening. With all the suspicion swirling, and just with the free media investigating, there already have found inconsistencies in the Chinese government stories. For example, in the 2020 article, Night Images Reveal Many New Detention Sites in China's Xinjiang region by Chris Buckley and Austin Ramsey, Chinese government claims that the incarceration rate in the Xinjiang province is shrinking, and that the inmates are being released back into Chinese society as good assimilated Chinese workers. However, Ramsey and Buckley also cite that satellite images have shown that there are larger camps and larger detention centers in the Xinjiang province. People should not stand for injustice in any form, and those who are informed about this issue are angry about it. For example, in the 2020 article, China's treatment of Uyghur Muslims sparks anger near new embassy site in London by Angela Doyne, who she says that the Muslims are a tight-knit community all around the world and are linked together. The Muslim community is informed on this issue, and they're angry about it, and rightfully so. So the word needs to be spread so that those who do not know can learn and hear about it, and they will join those who are angry in their righteous anger. And a UN investigation would be a great tool to help spread the word and also reach and find the truth of what is happening with this issue. Just like a child misbehaving who is never punished will continue to act bad, without action, the Chinese government will continue to do what they are doing. This is why the UN needs to sanction the Chinese government. In the 2020 article, 39 countries denounced China's abuse of Uyghur Muslims in Xinjiang by Daily Sabah with wires. 39 countries, including the United States, Turkey, Germany, and the United Kingdom, have all denounced what the Chinese government is doing and have urged China to respect the rights of the 1 million incarcerated Uyghurs within their borders. However, talk is cheap and action is real. And in Dwayne's article, Rahima Mahmood, who is a protest organizer and a member of the National Uyghur Congress in London, is quoted as saying, "Countries are choosing trade over human rights." The United Nations needs to take real action and sanction Chinese trade to help stop what the Chinese government is doing. You can ask Britain, France, the United States, and the rest of the free world how well sitting idly by and watching what the German government was doing in the 1930s of rounding up an ethnic and religious minority went, and what the history books have told us about that. An event that does not directly affect people, usually those people ignore it. This is why the United Nations needs to stop ignoring this issue, and they need to act to stop the Chinese and stop their camps and internment of the Uyghurs living within the Xinjiang province. Even though the Chinese government has interest in the Xinjiang province, they are violating human rights there. The UN needs to act to stop these human rights violations through investigations and sanctions, as well as spreading the word about it. The Chinese government has been accused, and there's evidence of camps, detention centers, human rights violations, and other assimilation treatments that are happening to the Uyghur Muslims living within the Xinjiang province. The UN needs to act to stop them through investigation, sanctions, and spreading the word. We've all seen this movie before, and last time it ended with 7 million dead. Now, there's not evidence of mass genocide yet, but the Holocaust did not happen in a day, and the similarities of rounding up an ethnic and religious minority are scarily similar. It's hard to watch the same movie twice and still not know what is going to happen. The first time this movie ran, the free world sat idly by and watched until it was too late. This time the free world has a chance to stop it before it can reach a level or even resemble the level of what happened in the Holocaust. Thank you.